Hello, and welcome back once again to Jeff Finnegan's Wake. I'm sorry, Infinite Jeff. Infinite Jeff, the project where I, Jeff, read the book Infinite Jest, one page at a time, one day at a time. I put it up on YouTube. It's pretty sweet. It's my raison d'etre. But we've passed the year mark. This is year 2 of this slog. This is page number 377 of this book. Here we go. Let's go. More depressing AA crackhead stillbornness. So sorry, it's so content warning. Here we go. Finally passed out, still umbilically linked to the dead infant, and how when she came to again in unsparing moonlight the next day and saw what still clung by a withered cord to her empty inside, she got introduced to the real business end of the arrow of responsibility. And as she gazed in daylight at the withered, faceless, stillborn baby, she was so overcome with grief and self-loathing that she erected a fortification of complete and black denial, like total denial. She held and swaddled the dead thing just as if it were alive instead of dead. She began to carry it around with her wherever she went, just as she imagined devoted mothers carry their babies with them everywhere they go. The faceless infant's corpse, completely veiled and hidden in a little pink blanket, the addicted, expectant mother let herself buy at Woolworth's at 7 months. And she also kept the cord's connection intact until the end of the cord finally fell out of her and dangled and smelled. And she carried the dead infant everywhere, even when turning sordid tricks, because single motherhood or not, she still needed to get high, and still had to do what she had to do to get high. So she carried the blanket-wrapped infant in her arms as she walked the streets in her velvet fuchsia mini pants and halter top and green spike heels, turning tricks, until there began to be strong evidence, and she circled her block, it was August, let's just say, compelling evidence that the infant, in the stained cocoon of a blanket in her arms, was not a biologically viable infant, and passerbys on the South Boston streets began to reel away white-faced as the girl passed by, stretch-marked and brown-toothed and lashless, lashes lost in a substance accident, fire hazard, and dental dysplasia often go with freebase terrain, with the freebase terrain. And also just hauntedly calm-looking, oblivious to the olfactory havoc she was wreaking in the sweltering streets. But her August's trick business soon fell off sharply, understandably, and eventually word that there was a serious infant and denial problem here got around the streets, and her fellow Southie baseheads and street friends came to her with not ungentle, arless remonstrances, and scented hankies and gently prying hands, and tried to reason her out of her denial, but she ignored them all. She guarded her infant from all harm and kept it clutched to her. It was by now sort of stuck to her, and would have been hard to separate from her by hand anyway, and she walked the street shunned and trickless and broke and in early-stage substance withdrawal, with the remains of the dead infant's tummy's cord dangling out from an unclosable fold in the now ominously ballooned and crusty Woolworth's blanket. Talk about denial. This girl was in some major league denial, but finally a pale and reeling beat cop phoned a hysterical olfactory alert into the Commonwealth's infamous Department of Social Services. Gately sees alcoholic moms all over the hall cross themselves and shudder at the mere mention of DSS. Every addicted parent's worst nightmare, DSS, they of the several different abstruse legal definitions of neglect and the tungsten-tipped battering ram for triple. Okay, that was page number 377. More depressing, fucking gross baseheads, and so hopefully the next page is not as descriptive and more about her getting help. So that's page 377. Have a good night.